Hi, and welcome to Government Anonymous. My name is Gary. I'm going to be the chairman of this meeting. Government Anonymous is based on the same principles as all the other addiction groups out there, like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Gambling Anonymous, etc. Being an alcoholic myself and getting off alcohol and being in the program has helped me tremendously. And I had a cognition one day. Well, it seems to me people on this planet have an addiction for authority, for a government, when in all actuality, we are our own government. We are our own monarch, we're our own kings. We are supposed to be self-ruling. That's what anarchism stands for, self-ruling. You wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, and there's the boss, you. Total 100% responsibility. Government, the word government, broken down in Latin, go do your research, means mind control. That's all it means. Government is not a tangible existence. Government is just a word, and the word alone means mind control. Anonymous means anybody who makes a comment here, and I will read comments for discussion. And it's to help people get off the dependency of government. It's the only way we're going to survive as a human race. Government, my analogy and others' analogy of government is like a mummy-daddy syndrome. You know, we're all secure in our homes when we're growing up as children. We have a mummy-daddy figure to take care of us when we scrape our legs or have to go to the doctor, etc. But when we leave home, we're looking for some more security. We're looking for other security. It's a little scary out there, so who do we turn to? We have our politicians. This is mummy-daddy syndrome. And what I've noticed and why I've started this channel too is we focus way too much on politics. If we shouldn't focus on it at all. It is disgusting. Disgusting to watch these political rallies in every country. How people are applauding these politicians who are always saying the same thing. Less taxes, more freedom, blah, blah, blah. Less war. I don't know if you've noticed, but when politicians say they want peace, it usually means the opposite, war. When they want less taxes, it usually means they want to tax us more. Taxes are a form of slavery. There, I said it. And politics and government are an addiction. They are an absolute addiction. Instead of focusing on politicians, you need to focus on yourself. You know, politicians are not our savior. They're our enslaver. So I've started the site to help people with the addiction of politics, of government, with all the isms, communism, socialism, dictatorshipism. There's a new word. I'd like to coin that phrase, or that word. And I have a tremendous, I had, like I mentioned before, I had tremendous results from AA. And I'd like to apply the same principles here. We have 12 steps in AA and NA and all those other programs. And I'll break those down. We'll try to apply it here. But it's for people who have, if you're following along with me and you believe in self-rule, but you know others that aren't, send them here. Eventually we'll get into like a podcast where people can phone in and people will be allowed to speak their mind. And this site, Government Anonymous, getting off government, we're going to get a lot of yeah buts. Yeah, but we'll have chaos. Well, what do we have on this planet right now? We have politicians and government running amok. It's disgusting. So I'll be looking at comments, reading comments, and using them for the next meetings. What government is, too, it's a tool used by people to push responsibility on the backs of others. You know, in all reality, government is a tool to be used by us or by corporations to push forward their agendas. We'll discuss all kinds of things, like what are we going to do about health care? Who's going to make the roads? Who's going to handle the infrastructure? These are all questions that need to be handled. I hear a lot of people complaining about government, but self-rule is the way to go. But how do we make that transition from cutting the umbilical cord between us and an authority figure? You know, you can't look at me and say you're free after you've walked into a voting booth and check the name off of a political leader that you would like to rule. Right then and there, you're not free. By giving up your sovereignty as a man to turn it over to another man, you've given up your freedom 100%. You're no longer in control of your life. It's not you. The only thing we can do freely in the Western world right now is consume. That's all I see. And freedom of speech. We still have freedom of speech. God knows how long this site will stay up. I said it again. Too many people associate government with freedom when it could not be further from the truth. How do you have a politician protecting your freedom when they're selling you out the door? You really don't. Also, lack of responsibility to responsible for ourselves. What government is not being responsible for ourselves. Okay? Here, I got to watch the ball game. Here's an example. I got to watch the ball game here. You take care of those wars. You take care of the roads. You take care of the hospitals. I'm too busy entertaining myself. I can't take time to manage my life. Already covered how I want comments. We'll make discussions on them. And how did I reach this? I was a campaign manager for a certain political group in Northern Ontario, Canada, and it was the Libertarian Party. And it was so disheartening. We went out one day and went into a neighborhood. It was on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm not sure. Knocked on about 65 doors. At about the 65 doors, 5 people answered. And I said, a fella came to the door. What are you about? We're a Libertarian Party. We want to reduce the size of government, put more money back in your pocket, reduce taxes, blah, blah, blah. And the answers I got were very disheartening. I don't want less government. I want more government. And I was taken aback. And is this our whole purpose? What is our purpose when we are born? Is it to live off one another? Think about that. It even says in the Bible, I'm not going to refer to the Bible a lot, but it says God created you in His image. Why don't people act like it? Instead of asking for help, why don't we figure out how we can be self-ruling? We're not supposed to have authority figures hanging over us. In no way whatsoever. And with Alcoholics Anonymous, if you don't do something about your drinking problem or your drug problem or your gambling problem, etc., etc., it could eventually leave. It could eventually come down to where you die. Well, I didn't, and I decided I wanted to live. Now, the same could be said true of government. We keep voting and expecting different results. You can't keep doing the same thing expecting different results. We know what politicians are all about. We know what government's all about, and it's more enslavement. We have to start looking at ourselves. We're entering too fast into this Orwellian state. Slavery. And who takes advantage of the government the most, aside from us? I used to be a statist person, but not anymore. I've had enough. Who uses the government the most against us? Well, we have our banksters, we have our corporations, we have our monarchs, we have feminism. All use the government as a tool to enslave us more. I mentioned mummy-daddy syndrome already. And as long as we have government, we will never know our full potential. So like I said before, this channel will be dedicated, and I'm going to repeat myself. Why not? Politicians repeat themselves all the time. They're always telling us how free we are. Huh. Furthest thing from the truth. So I hope to accomplish a platform of discussion. We can function without statism. Look up anarchy in Latin. It means self-rule. That's it. When you see the news media, our mainstream media, oh boy, mainstream media, when they say, look at the anarchists running amok, no, that's not a bunch of responsible, self-ruling individuals. That's a bunch of characters out of control. They're not anarchists, trust me. But they are spoiled little brats who want their own way, and they're going to kick and scream and destroy things and try to get their own way. And the other thing that annoys me the most, the biggest point to be made is this. Think about this. We pay these fellas, these politicians, we pay government to control us, to tell us what to do, to create laws. And more laws, and give carte blanche to corporations and other countries to do as they bloody well feel. That's what carte blanche is. We're going to pass a law that allows corporations to do this, that, and the other thing. Let's go on here. This is simple. We cannot complicate it with statism. Natural law is the way to go. Okay, natural law. Also, your conscience. I'm going to read a little page here from Thomas Paine. And hopefully, we have law. We have law up here. It's in our brains. We have to start using our heads more, people. Turn off the TVs. Watch this channel, of course. But turn off the TVs. Start reading books. Start watching some really good documentaries on YouTube. And it's also belittling to have another man rule over you. Okay? I mentioned that too. When you vote, you're giving up your sovereignty. You're giving rule to the government. When we can only blame ourselves. We can only blame ourselves for this mess we're in. A lot of people won't think we're in a mess. As long as you go to bed at night and you feel safe. That's in this little corner of the world. What about in other corners of the world where government is just out of control? Case in point, United States, the police. I mean, heavens to Betsy's. I mean, I do not want to venture there. You look at a cop the wrong way, you got his skull broken open. Maybe it's not that bad, but from what I've seen, some of these YouTube videos and the results, not good. You know, when we listen to politicians, we take their every word for gospel truth, and we treat them like pagan gods. They are not people. They are not. They are so less than us. They're supposed to be working for us, but do they? No. You don't pay your taxes, you're going to jail. You fight a traffic ticket, you know, you're frowned upon, you know. You try to beat it, whatever. You know where I'm going with all this. So, what I'm trying to do here is wake people up, and how we can discuss, what I want to discuss about is how we can run without government. Maybe we can come up with some great ideas how we take back our lives, especially our freedom. We need to rule by conscience. Rule by conscience. You know it's wrong to go trespass on your neighbor's land, or go up and smack somebody in the head for no reason, or to go rob someone. You damn well know that. You don't need a law for that. You don't need a law saying it's wrong to poison people. You already know that. Yet how many companies are protected by laws? Corporations. Look up the word corporations in Latin. Corpse or Asians. Break it down. It's a dead entity. And quit associating government with this entity that is but looking for, what am I trying to say here? As all-knowing, as all-caring. Further from the truth. Yeah, I'm tripping and stumbling here, but I got to do something. I can't sit back and let this go on anymore. And there's a lot of channels now popping up, and great. We have to turn the tables on these boys now. If we're to survive as a human race, we need to take back our liberty, take back our freedom. And the beauty of all this, if we went to self-rule, wouldn't have to blame politicians for how things are shitty and how our lives are. And wouldn't have to listen to any more of this political bullshit. It's so sickening. So sickening. Now here's the final question. Would you lock yourself in a prison cell? Would you lock yourself in a prison cell? And most of you are going to say no. Well, we have, by voting, by allowing another man to rule over us. We have. You can't deny it. You can't be free, people, and eat your cake too. What I mean is, you can't walk into a voting booth, you can't elect a politician, and then stand there and tell me that you're free. You're absolutely 100% not. There's no argument. None whatsoever. Well, let's read a little page here from Thomas Paine. Common Sense by Thomas Paine. Common sense of the origin and design of government in general, with concise remarks on the English Constitution. Some writers have so confounded society with government as to leave little or no distinction between them, whereas they are not only different, but have different origins. Society is produced by our wants, and government by our wickedness. The former promotes our happiness positively by uniting our affections, the latter negatively by restraining our vices. The one encourages intercourse, the other creates distinctions. The first is a patron, the last a punisher. Society in every state is a blessing, but government, even in its best state, is but a necessary evil. We'll get to the necessary thing. In its worst state, an intolerable one. For when we suffer or are exposed to the same miseries by a government, which we might expect in a country without government, our calamity is heightened by reflecting that we furnish the means by which we suffer. Government, like dress, is the badge of lost innocence. The palaces of kings are built on the ruins of the bowers of paradise. For were the impulses of conscience clear, uniform, and irresistibly obeyed, man would need no other lawgiver. But that not being the case, he finds it necessary to surrender up a part of his property to furnish means for the protection of the rest. And this he is induced to do by the same prudence which in every other case advises him out of two evils to choose the least. Wherefore, security, being the true design and end of government, It unanswerably follows that whatever form thereof appears most likely to ensure it to us with the least expense and greatest benefit, it is preferable to all others. Okay, that's from Thomas Paine, Common Sense. That's how I'm going to leave it today. Looking for some comments and we can talk about. If not, I'll start making up the 12 steps as they do in all the other anonymous organizations. So, thanks for visiting. Subscribe. I am a Patreon member. Take care. Have a great day.